So when we think about our income plan for Social Security, we should be considering those pent-up taxable accounts that we have as well. We need to balance that out. So it's not just about the income, but what is our long-term tax projection as well? When you bought the Taylor Swift tickets, you first were like, oh, I got to tell you something bad that I did, right? It's not bad. These are things that are important to you and something that you enjoy doing. We want to be able to embrace those things in retirement. Social Security isn't about the check. It's about the strategy. Today, we're going to explore how high net worth retirees should coordinate Social Security timing with tax planning, tax managed investing, and your long-term portfolio strategy.
Hello and welcome to The Relax. It's Retirement Podcast with your host, Josh Leonard, where we talk about transitioning into retirement with intent. I'm Wendy McConnell. Well, hello there, Josh.
Hey, Wendy, how are you?
I'm good. We were having a little conversation in the green room, and I have the giggles a little bit, so I'm going to try and calm down.
We'll keep it lively. You know, today we're going to talk about Social Security for high net worth individuals. So it's going to be like Social Security and taxes. So a couple giggles along the way might actually be good. Keep it entertaining. So
all right, I'll do my best. Although I need to really pay attention to this information.
Okay, let's focus in then. You know, for us at the Leonard Advisory Group, we think of everything through our 5 pillars of retirement planning, what we call our true intent planning system. So when we think of something like Social Security, that's part of our income plan, right? But we also need to make considerations for our investment plan, our tax plan, our health plan, and our legacy plan as well. So today I want to focus a little bit more on high net worth individuals and how they should think about those Social Security decisions. It's a little bit different. I think the first reason is they might not be as dependent on that income. If you only have a very small amount saved for retirement, or maybe you only have a savings account and Social Security, your optionalities around when to take Social Security are going to be a lot more limited, right? If you have a portfolio of over $2.5 million and you're contemplating, hey, should I take Social Security as soon as I retire, or should I wait till age 70? That's a very different context of a situation because you actually have those different options.
Got it.
For those individuals with about $2.5 million, most of the times we see the largest type of money they have in there is always taxed. If we think of our tax triangle, or what we refer to as our tax philosophy at the Leonard Advisory Group, we have 3 broad categories, right? We have never taxed, which is where we want all of our money, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be things like Roth IRAs, HSAs, right? And we can throw a bunch of asterisks there, right? To get the money into a Roth, we probably paid taxes, so won't be taxed again. But ideally, that's where all of our savings is in retirement. Then we have sometimes taxed. And those are things like capital gains, right? So those might be generated by a stock portfolio or a mutual fund portfolio. If we're earning savings interest, that interest is taxable. The principal isn't, but that interest is. If we own things like CDs in there, or maybe deferred annuities, right? Those are partially taxable or sometimes taxable.
Okay.
The third category is always taxable. And these are things like our IRAs and 401ks. This is where most Americans have saved for retirement, right? It's easy. We tell them to withhold this much from a paycheck. They do it. Many times it comes with a match too. And then that account builds over time, right? So if we look at someone with about $2.5 million, most of the times we're looking at a situation where $1.5 to $2 million of that $2.5 million is in IRA or 401k funds. That money is always taxable. So when we think about our income plan for Social Security, we should be considering those pent-up taxable accounts that we have as well. We need to balance that out. So it's not just about the income, but what is our long-term tax projection as well?
Okay.
I think with that goes, what we've referred to in previous episodes, that good saver tax problem. So maybe you have $2 million in your IRA, You're 62 or 63 years old now, and you don't really need that for income here over the next group of years. But if you don't start taking some money out of that or do Roth conversions or something, it's going to continue to grow. And when your RMDs come, you might have to take up 150, 160,000 per year out of that. So even if you don't need the income now, we should start alleviating some of that pressure ahead of time.
Sounds like that's the good timing plan, right?
That is something that's really important, right? Because if we think of Social Security as another income source, if we elect it too early, right, which maybe we think, hey, I don't know how long I'm going to live. I don't really need this for income. Maybe I'll just take it early, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're doing Roth conversions or other tax strategies, that's another source of income we have to play into, right? And it's not flexible. Once we turn it on, it's coming in. Right? There's some ways that we could withdraw our benefit in a short period of time or suspend depending on our age. But for the most part, Social Security is going to keep coming in. So we need to think about that. The other thing that it can cause is impacting our health plan with IRMAA, right? That Hurricane Irma. Do you remember what that is, Wendy? This is the part where I quiz you.
Unearned. No, I don't remember.
Income related Medicare adjustment amount.
Yeah, I wasn't even close.
I wasn't going to highlight that part, Wendy. I think you did great. Irma, though, I refer to it as Hurricane Irma because for many folks, it comes in as a surprise. We think our income goes higher and, hey, we have to pay more taxes, but we also have to pay more in our Medicare Part B and Part D. So if we're doing large Roth conversions or, we have higher earned income, 2 years later, we get a letter from the Social Security or Medicare administration saying, hey, you know what? Now you get to pay more for Medicare. So we need to be mindful of that. Again, if we're doing those Roth conversions or trying to spend down some IRA money to alleviate that RMD problem in the future, we want to have less income. So by deferring Social Security, we can get a bit of an advantage there, and we have less taxable income.
Okay.
Social Security is taxed based on the amount of income you have overall, too. So if we think of it, at most 85% of your Social Security will be taxed as ordinary income. It's a tiered system. So if we're able to keep our income lower at some point, we may pay less in Social Security. We don't want to think of that as, oh, well, hey, I'm going to leave my IRA alone and I'm only going to take Social Security in the early years of retirement because I won't pay any taxes, right? We might fall into a 0% tax bracket in that situation. Well, that's great for the short term, but not for the long term because we're allowing those IRA funds to continue to grow and it compounds over time. So instead, what we might want to be doing is pulling ahead our IRA withdrawals intentionally, trying to fill out possibly lower tax brackets, maybe 10 or 12% tax brackets, rather than defaulting to a 22 or higher tax bracket later.
Nobody wants that 22.
Or higher, right? I mean, they go higher.
Okay.
We want to be careful, too, that first scenario that we talked about, if we are doing some strategic tax planning, we want to be careful that we're not causing undue capital gains. If we have $2 million in an IRA and we have $2.5 million overall, that other $500,000 is probably some combination of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and maybe some cash savings. What is that portfolio yielding? If it's generating income that we don't need, it's generating taxes that we don't need. So let's look at that portfolio management. For us, we do tax management solutions is what we call it, but we're managing within the portfolio a set amount of capital gains. If we're right on that border of increased Medicare cost, maybe we hold off on realizing some capital gains. If we're doing Roth conversions, maybe we hold off. If we're able later in retirement, once we've relieved some of that pressure from the IRAs, to then have a larger Social Security payment, which is only at most 85% pulled into our ordinary income, we're able to have some capital gains at that time that are taxed at a lower rate, maybe 15%, maybe even 0% capital gains bracket, will have more tax control over the long time. What we see for many folks is that their portfolio is just what they've collected over time. So maybe they have some old mutual funds in there that are spinning off a bunch of income that they're not using. Even worse, what we're starting to see now as people are moving out of mutual funds is there's more redemptions. So that Amazon stock that the mutual fund wisely bought during the dot-com bubble, right, has grown substantially. There's a huge gain on that. But if they have to sell those stocks and you're mutually holding that with everyone else, even if you don't need the gain, you're getting the gain, right? So we need to be careful there. These are often unintended consequences of that portfolio management. If it's causing us to pay more in taxes overall, it's not a win-win, right? We need to remove from that situation. Maybe it's time to graduate from mutual funds to individual securities ownership, owning those individual stocks and bonds within the portfolio.
Okay.
I think delaying Social Security for high net worth individuals can actually be a risk reducer. So, one of the biggest risks that everyone has is longevity in retirement, right? We don't know how long we're going to live. If you could tell me, Wendy, exactly how long you're going to live, I can figure out exactly how much money you need, right? And we'll spend it down to the last penny.
Mm-hmm.
Go see Taylor Swift. Go to the Eagles Super Bowl if they ever make it again, you know.
That was so
You got that one in
unnecessary.
there? Yeah. It's okay. The Steelers aren't making it this year either. So, but more importantly, the Chiefs aren't.
Yes, we are so sad about their dying season.
All kidding aside, Wendy, these are the things that are fun, right? They're not, I think when you bought the Taylor Swift tickets, you first were like, oh, I got to tell you something bad that I did, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not bad. These are things that are important to you and something that you enjoy doing. We want to be able to embrace those things in retirement. To me, if we can manage taxes and make sure that we're not going to run out of money, those are things that are easier risk than trying to predict the risk levels in the market, right? If we can reduce effective tax rates by 10%, if we can have higher guaranteed income checks, we're going to be in better shape in the long term. Like for my parents, one of the strategies that they implemented was delaying my dad's Social Security. So my mom took hers at full retirement age. My dad is waiting till age 70.
Okay.
If you look at our family longevity, my dad's dad passed away at age 69. He just turned 69. So we, on the surface there, it doesn't really make sense for him to defer anything, right? If family longevity would say the tape measure is running out, then maybe we need to think about taking that benefit earlier. But what happens in a spousal situation, Wendy, is that the surviving spouse gets the higher of the two payments. My dad was the higher earner, so they got cash flow by taking my mom's benefit right at her full retirement age. And then my dad can defer his. If something happens to him, my mom locks in that higher of the two checks. So even if we're spending some assets to defer, we might still end up with more money if we have a long life because we have that higher paycheck coming in starting at age 70.
So that's only if you really care about your spouse, right?
Well, hopefully we all do, but you're right. I mean, there could be circumstances.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there is.
I think many times we go back and forth with clients as we're planning out, hey, what is the best way to leave the strongest legacy, right? We want to leave money to our kids, right? We think we've saved enough that we shouldn't use all this. How do we make sure we get the money to the kids? So on the surface, it might make sense to say, I'm going to take my Social Security earlier so I don't have to spend money out of the portfolio, right? If we have that income coming in, we can't transfer Social Security income to a kid or to an adult kid. We can transfer those portfolio assets. But if we take that deferred time to do things like Roth conversions, manage those capital gains, we might be able to get a larger net amount. So after Uncle Sam takes his piece and allow our kids more tax flexibility in their future as well.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, so we need to think of Social Security not just through the lens of income, but rather as a multi-level tool, right? We need to think of it through the lens of all five pillars. We can't just think about it as, well, I don't need the income now, maybe I'll need it then, right? If we retire early, we might have, so if we retire at age 62, we might have 8 years of lower tax years. We typically see a dip in clients' taxes in those early years of retirement. We go from earning higher wages to retiring, and then maybe we're spending some savings. Maybe we have a small pension. Our income needs overall might just be less in those early years of retirement. So utilizing those to get the most makes the most sense. I'm going to go back to tax management in our taxable portfolios. I think it is not talked about enough because it causes so many undue consequences.
Okay.
I was just reviewing someone's tax return from last year, and in their account, they had $185,000 of taxable capital gains last year when they took no money out of the portfolio.
Oh.
They realized a bunch of gains unnecessarily. They didn't need the money then. Well, that hardly makes sense, right? The effective rate of taxation on that money was over 20% because it starts bringing other things in, like we talked about Medicare, net investment income tax. There's all sorts of things when we get into higher income levels.
Okay.
By restructuring the portfolio, we can save about 1% annually in taxes on that portfolio. That way, we're not getting these gigantic tax years unnecessarily. I think, again, if we look at those Roth conversions, we're going to run into troubles if we're creating liquidations from the portfolio. We talked about mutual funds generating those long-term capital gains at the end of the year because they have to liquidate. If other people are moving out of those funds, they need to sell some of those shares to cover the redemptions. That's not in your control. If you own those individual stocks and you're managing it appropriately, it doesn't matter what other people do, right? You are the sole owner of that. It's not mutually held. You got it, Wendy?
I do. I've got, I mean, I knew all this already, but go ahead.
You need to adjust that throughout the year too, right? So if something changes in employment, maybe you decide to realize some more capital gains along the way. That is the whole point of tax management. Traditionally, a really good advisor might do some tax loss harvesting at the end of the year. Really, we should be doing it throughout the year, setting and updating a budget based on our goals to make the most. If we think of this year, the market's ending, hopefully, really high. The way we're tracking now, the market's gained substantially throughout the year. It wasn't that way the whole year, though. If we remember when tariffs were first introduced, the market went down very quickly. That was an opportunity to rebalance some of these portfolios. Maybe sell off some positions, offset them with a loss. That way, we can end up with more money and less tax friction on that money.
Okay.
So what do you think, Wendy? Are you going to defer Social Security? Or are you going to take it right away?
Well, I mean, I think that, I lean towards deferring, but, I never really considered about you can't pass that down to kids. So I don't know. I don't have kids, but I have a dog. So I want to make sure she's taken care of.
Okay. Is there a trust written for the dog?
Not yet, but there will be by the time she's a year. So I'll get on that.
Okay. Pete recently acquired another dog. While we're on dogs, he got a puppy earlier this year, and then today he introduced another puppy. It is a family member's neighbor's dog that was unable to care for the dog, and now they've seemingly inherited another dog.
Well, they'll play together. That'll be good.
Yeah, two puppies play together. Yeah.
They're both puppies?
They're both puppies.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, wow.
So I'm a dog lover, but two puppies at once sounds like a full-time job to me.
My one puppy is killing me.
Yep. How old's your puppy?
She's 6 months.
Oh, yes, very much. And what kind of dog?
A Havapoo.
Okay, not a full poo, just a Havapoo.
Havanese poodle mix.
Perfect. How big?
She's about 8 pounds, so
Okay.
she's tiny. She's a little thing.
How big
so
will she get?
I think 8 pounds.
8.5. When treated well.
Well, she was 3 pounds when I got her, so this is, you know,
that's
so.
substantial growth. Yeah.
I don't know how we got off course so much, but please.
Yeah, I mean, dogs, how can we tie that back into Social Security, you know?
I cannot pass my Social Security on to my dog.
You absolutely cannot. And it's really not advisable to make an animal the beneficiary on your investment or retirement accounts either.
I did know that. I know that's all kinds of complicated issues.
What you can do, though, is in certain estate planning documents, talking about that legacy plan, right? Thinking through all 5 pillars, you can dictate so much money to help care for the dog for someone if you were to leave your dog to someone. So if a family member or friend is going to take care of the dog, you can designate funds for the care of that animal to make sure that, you know, if your dog's like mine, Layla eats like some of the most expensive dog food because when she was a puppy, we wanted to make sure that she had the most nutritious diet.
Yeah.
And I don't know at what point you look at your dog and say, you know what? You're getting the cheap stuff now, right?
Dog chow it is.
Yeah. I've always joked that I eat at Aldi's, but my dog eats at Whole Foods. So if someone were to be caring for Layla, I would want her to continue to eat at Whole Foods, right? So we could designate that in our estate documents.
Yes.
That would be the proper way. But when we think of Social Security, we need to think through it in all 5 pillars, right? If we want to make sure that there's extra money for expensive dog food left at the end, maybe we take our Social Security earlier, right? If we're worried about the tax impacts a little bit more, maybe we take it later because we want to recharacterize or spend down some of that IRA money earlier in retirement. With that, we always need to think of our investment allocation. If we're going to be spending that money down sooner, we need to be a little bit more conservative with those funds that we're going to be spending.
Okay.
If they have a longer timeline, we can be a little bit more aggressive with those. Social Security digs right into that investment and tax plan. It is not a sole decision of today I retired, today I take Social Security. Rather, it is how does it fit into the total plan? Does deferring Social Security allow us to do more within your tax plan? Does taking it sooner possibly leave more money to our beneficiaries? By building a full plan covering all 5 pillars, we can answer those questions and not just take it based off of an online calculator that says I can get more money out of Social Security if I live this long. If more of it's taxed, maybe you're not getting more money net out of that. Maybe your beneficiaries are getting less. So by building that plan, we can get more confidence and clarity and hopefully tax efficiency. So if all of these things are on your mind and you're really concerned about the tax efficiency of your portfolio, when to take Social Security, I would encourage you to click the link in the notes, set up a 15-minute call. From there, our next step would be set up a Strategize with Intent appointment. During that 1-hour session, we can get some framework around your plan and help answer some of those questions, right? We want to look at that gap. We've talked about it a couple times this year since the tax change, Wendy, but we have more opportunities in our tax brackets now than we have for many years. So tax planning needs to be top of mind for seniors between now and 2028. We have additional deductions. Let's take advantage of those and try to reposition ourselves for success in retirement.
Sounds good.
Wendy, thank you so much for your time today. And until next time, remember to retire with intent so you can live your golden years with the happiness and excitement you deserve.